Awesome.
Okay, so thank you to those who came to our second in-person meeting. Very exciting. So today we have Dr. Madrigal and one of these students from the Sport and Exercise Psychology program to talk to us about goal setting and physical activity and how to fit that into our daily lives. So I'm just going to pass the mic over to you.
Hi everybody, nice to see you all. My name is Dr. Madrigal. I'm one of the faculty in Sport and Exercise Psychology. Let Jini introduce herself, and we're just going to do a nice activity today and talk a little bit about a certain topic, and I'll get to you a little bit later.
Hello, my name is Jini. I'm studying sport and exercise psychology in master's program, and I'm really excited to help Dr. Madrigal to make today's session fun and insightful at the same time. So I want to briefly introduce about today's section. So after this introduction, we will make we will make 4 teams for today's activity, and we will hand out a paper for each team. And then we wrote about the instruction for today's activity. And please don't share the instruction with other groups since each team has different instructions. So after explanation, each team will walk for 10 minutes, and while walking, we encourage you to be more aware of those that come to your mind, because we will talk about this after all groups come back. And after discussion, Dr. Madrigal will go over about the points of today's activity and introduce a strategy that you may apply to daily life. So do you have any questions for today's activity or over session?
I'm ready.
Okay.
So we will both stay in this room, so feel free to leave your stuff in, and we're going to give you just directions, and again, it's going to be the 10-minute walk with certain activities here. And so 2 groups are going to have 2 people, and then 2 groups are just going to be by themselves. So I'm going to have you, and you both will be in a group.
Sounds good.
You will be in your own group, and this is your task. You will be in your own group as well. And then you both will be in a group together doing this task. So it is 5:06. So why don't we plan to come back here at 5:16?
So since we have a person who just come here, so I want to briefly just overview about today's activity. So I handed out the 4 paper. We wrote each like 4 goals on the paper. So for the one group, we said no goal, just take a walk for 10 minutes. And another group, we had take 100 steps for 10 minutes. And then for third group, we said 700 steps for 10 minutes. And the last group, we said 10,000 steps for 10 minutes. So I want to ask first, how did you feel when you first look at the paper and the goal? So I want to ask to the team who had a goal, which is 100 steps. Yeah, which group says one? Yeah, can you tell
I was
us?
just like, do I need to walk slow and only reach 100 steps, or if I go over, is it fine?
Oh yeah. So did you feel is it too easy, or you can achievable, or did you think it's impossible?
Too easy.
Too easy. I see. So thank you. And then what about 700?
It was easy. First I was like, this is a lot of steps, and I just kept walking.
Oh, so this is too easy.
No, I was like, when I saw the paper, I was like 700, that's a lot. But then, like I said, I just kept walking, and then if I finished or not, I was gonna stop here anyways. I don't know. 700 is a lot.
And then, all right, what about 10,000?
We just walked. So we didn't have like a set strategy. We were just like, yeah, we'll walk, and we thought we walked like a good amount, but then we just checked our steps, and like we just barely got under like 900.
That was like if we went to go do like stairs, I think we would have definitely like done more. Because like right now we tested it like right outside, and in like less than like 10 seconds we did 10 steps. So it's like it would have been really fast just doing stairs, but there's no way that like I didn't really want to do that much stairs.
Yeah, that's a workout right there.
So, how did you feel it too easy or achievable, or it's hard or impossible? How did you feel about?
I mean, if we were running, then maybe we could hit like 10,000. But we were going at like a leisurely pace.
Oh, I see.
Maybe impossible in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we started like walking, like I guess like at a semi-fast pace, I guess.
Oh yeah.
But then we ended up just like I guess like walking just like slightly faster than I guess like the average pace, I guess. But like I said, we barely just got to like below like 1,000.
Yeah. Cool. Then we have unique group. It has so Dr. Madrigal asked her to take 700 steps for 4 minutes, and then could you share your thoughts when you first heard?
I was like, I'm not gonna do it, but I will try.
Yeah.
So I just started walking really fast, like back and forth. And then I went around the corner, and then I was like, I'm really tired, but I'm gonna keep trying. And so I was just like walking, and like I jogged a little bit, and I did like some jumping jacks. And I was just like,
You're like, I don't want to walk too fast, I'm over.
and I was just like, but yeah, I thought like it was like a lot of steps in 4 minutes, but I felt like if I walked fast enough, maybe I might get it. I didn't get it, but I tried.
Creative
How
though.
much did you get?
300.
That's good.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then I was the last group which has a no goal. Let's take a walk, go walk for 10 minutes. And then how did you feel when you first look at the paper?
It seemed really easy because we were just like walking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you feel like it's easy.
Yeah, and it was nice because then we just like talked the whole time, and then we weren't like in a rush or anything.
It was nice. A nice relaxation of the mind to just like, my day's over, I just get to chat and walk.
That's an interesting point. So now I want to go on the next question, which is what did you focus on during walking? So I want to ask first to the girl who has a goal. Yeah.
I was just like trying to have conversation. Like I just because it was my first time meeting her, so you know, it was spark conversation, find interest and stuff like that. I don't feel like I really had like a set goal of like, oh, what am I gonna talk about? Where am I gonna walk? It was kind of just like flowing. So
And then relaxing. as
Yeah.
well. Yeah. I see. And then whoever you can share your opinions.
Yeah, what were some
Yeah.
thoughts going through your head while you were?
Yeah.
Some people kind of said some things of like, I was trying to like get in as much as I can, so I did as much as like movement as I could do. But what were some of the other thoughts that came through as you were completing the task or working on the task?
I was just trying to figure out a route that would get me back here in 10 minutes, since I knew I would get the 100 steps done pretty quick.
Okay. Gotta be efficient with your time
Yeah,
and just
so go around that building and like the spa building and then yeah, the spa building. SSPA. I don't know what it stands for.
I've heard of that.
Yeah.
I've heard that small moving as well.
Yeah.
okay,
But I was
that's
thinking
new.
earlier on too, you said I didn't know like I slowed down my pace because I didn't know if like I needed to stop at 100. So like your effort that you put in was kind of dictated by what was on that piece of paper.
Mhm.
Yeah. Same thing with other people. Like I'm hearing things like their effort and motivation. Some were like 10,000, there's no way, or even 700 initial reaction, there's no way. This is too much. And then for some people, because that number wasn't as unrealistic, when she started walking, you were like, oh, okay, I got this, or like I can get this goal. The 10,000 group was like, there is no way, like I am going to like, that's no way I'm gonna do that in 10 minutes if I'm just walking. So maybe you did try for a minute, but then maybe it was kind of like that motivation started to dip a little bit of like, let's just keep walking and see what we get to.
Yeah.
So like the effort might have just maybe not has been as intense as if maybe we put that down to like a 700 steps or maybe even like 800 would have been something that's challenging but attainable kind of thing. Yeah.
Oh, what about the 700 step? What did you focus during your
Like I said, I already had my route planned, so if I hit 700 or not, that was it. But basically, with my route planned out, I was looking around and I noticed that there's not a lot of squirrels here anymore.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Taking some other observations. And yeah, just like the no goal group, right? That was just like go out and take a walk, right? You took in other things that were kind of like you leisurely, you were having a conversation, which is nice, right? But what if the goal was we want to increase our physical activity, right? Because I have no direction, I'm not being efficient with my time. I'm not really engaging in physical activity. I'm kind of just like walking around, meandering. And yeah, we found a positive out of it because I needed that time to relax. But if my overall goal is to become more physically active, and maybe by walking, if I don't have anything set down to focus on, then I'm like kind of walking aimlessly around kind of thing. Yeah, so as we do this activity to introduce the concept of goal setting, right? And we gave each group different kind of parameters or goals to think about. And one of the points we really want to highlight is, when we have no goal, it affects our direction. When our goals are too easy, the group that had 100 steps, I get bored, I get tired, I'm not invested in it. So I'm gonna probably drop out or not achieve the goal because it's too easy. Maybe I'll achieve it 1 week and then I kind of drop out because it's just too easy. Can anybody give me an example of an easy physical activity goal that they've maybe set for themselves in the past that ended up not following through because it was too easy?
Too easy.
Yeah.
Stretching every day.
Okay. Stretching every day. It's not really specific. It's really vague. Like what? Stretching full body? Do I just need to stretch my back, my hamstrings?
No, just stretch.
Just
when I wake up.
Yeah.
I never did it.
So when we don't make them specific, it makes it too vague, and maybe for some that's too minimal, and for others thinking oh gosh, do I have to stretch the whole body and do a whole 45-minute regimen, which might be feel too much, and there's no way I can do that every day. I just don't have that time. So when we have these bookends of the goal is either too easy, we lose interest, we get bored. When it's too hard, there's no way we're gonna really achieve it. So it's almost like my cop out or my excuse to really maybe not even engage in that. Are there any goals that anyone has set for themselves that have been too high or too unrealistic? Looking back.
Yes. I think for me it was going to the gym 5 times a week, and at first it was okay, and then once semester started and I'm coming to here 2 days a week with 4-hour commutes both ways, it was I did not think about how tired I was gonna be, so that fell off really fast.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's a good point that we're gonna go over a handbook in a little bit, but one of the things we talk about in goal setting is we set goals, we want them to be specific, but we also want to account for some of those barriers, or what are some of the roadblocks that might pop up that might inhibit us being able to achieve that goal. Because if we can think ahead of time of what are the barriers, then we can have okay, this is my plan B to still hit my goal of maybe being more physically active, versus oh, it's raining, so I guess I can't do anything today, and then all of a sudden you're not working out for the week, and now a month has gone by, and it's there's been no physical activity happening. So it's really easy to get onto that trajectory if we don't have oh, okay, I can't work out outside today, but this is my indoor regimen that I'm gonna do. And maybe it's only 20 minutes, and maybe it's just an ab circuit or something I can do without weights or without maybe the equipment I could have gotten in the other facilities. Jini, are there other questions you wanted to ask before we get into the handout? Personality?
Oh, I see. Yeah. So I have a question about the group. I'm just wondering. So I have a question for the 10,000 group. Did you think this goal is impossible too, and did you also think this goal is impossible as well?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty impossible.
Yeah, so what I want to ask, how each group members affect the motivation. I think it's
Did you all talk because there was 2 of you in that group, did you all start to talk to each other there's no way we're gonna do this, or was it let's go, let's see how many we can do?
I think when we saw the task, we were I guess we'll just walk.
Yeah, I was, cause myself, I was kind of thinking if we do steps, stairs, it'll be a way bigger amount, but technically the task is walking. So in that way, I don't think so. And then he kind of like, now that I think about it, like altered the way I would have done it. Because I was just gonna walk like wherever I go, I guess, and then come back. But he was saying like walk a specific route and stuff. So at least that would give you some sort of direction. So I would say like being in a group to change how I was gonna do it probably made it more efficient.
And sometimes when we're in groups, right, it can help our performance by maybe like the more motivation to go quicker, or I'm walking at a more rapid pace. Other times it might like inhibit my performance, right? Like, oh, I don't walk as fast as that person, or like I didn't like dress to walk today, so I just I'm not feeling it. Same thing when we talk about physical activity and maybe working out with like a buddy or like a group. And sometimes like the goals that they have set don't match maybe your goals of like maybe even being active or being physically active. So that can impact how you show up, or how like if you show up again in that space. So we always want to keep in mind, and this is something we're going to hit on this in this handout too, is like making sure as you're like thinking about the goals that you're setting, that they are for you, and like keeping that at the forefront. Even if like I have a workout buddy this week and we're going to go up to the gym together or go run together, you can run at your pace. I'm gonna like, my goal is to maybe just run for 20 minutes. I'm not trying to do like a 7-minute mile in that time, but maybe my goal is just to run 20 minutes a day for the next 3 days kind of thing. So really making sure that that's kind of centered is like your individual goals that are important to you. Right. So we're gonna pass out this handout now. If you want to get started, yeah. Or do you want to pass it out? Okay. So I'm not sure if anybody is participating in the Kin Well initiative right now, but each month there's a new physical activity challenge. And right now in the month of March, I believe our physical education, teaching education, put out each week to try a new activity. And the whole thing is like you should be trying to engage in at least 150 minutes of physical activity. So up to you, but each week try something new that maybe you haven't done in a while. So I don't know. I was just telling Jini, like, has anybody in here ever played disc golf? Oh my gosh!
I just learned about it. Like when we were hanging out one day, I just learned about it because we saw them in the middle of the park, and I was like, "What the heck is that?"
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I was gonna say there's a park down the street. What's the name of that park? Can't remember it.
El Dorado? No, not El Dorado.
El Dorado.
Oh, okay.
El Dorado Park has a free course, so all you need to do is find like a couple of disc frisbees, which you can probably check out here, or they're not too expensive, but you can just grab a couple and you can just play with a friend, or just go by yourself and walk around the course and try that. Right? You get to, it's like golf, so there's like a par 3 to try and get the frisbee to meet its goal, and you're just trying to do as efficient throws as you can. For me, it's like, how can I not hit a tree? Because I hit almost every tree trying to do this. But it's fun, it's a new activity, and you get steps in, and you get some physical activity. So part of the challenge that we did for Sports Psych, we did this in February, and it was find a new workout buddy each week and engage in activity with them. Didn't have to be in person, but like an accountability partner that you had. And so that's why some of this is kind of like, what was your physical activity in February, and how are you thinking about that for March? But just kind of starting with this handout in the very beginning, whenever we're thinking about goals, right? Has anybody in here heard of like the SMART acronym? I'm sure you've heard of that in other classes, maybe. SMART stands for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-based. Those are like the criteria we always want when we're thinking about goals, is following that SMART principle. So having a specific goal in mind is definitely what's needed. So if like my goal is to stretch more, that's a goal, but it's not very specific. There's no time measurable. I don't know like how I've achieved it. And that's why we want to have it measurable in a time base, so we know we've achieved it. Because sometimes when we hit those smaller goals, it like motivates us to go for maybe a step above, right? So the person that had 100 steps, maybe they hit those 100 steps and they're like, you know what, I think I can do 200. And so they keep going. And you know what, that wasn't as bad, so I'm going to keep going, maybe we'll get to 300. So we set goals to help us maybe sometimes with our motivation and things like that. So first thing is always like specific and measurable. What would be, like thinking about physical activity, what might be a goal that you could set for this upcoming week to increase your physical activity?
Maybe get 10,000 steps in the week.
close to like in 10 minutes.
Okay, okay. In the week. So let's challenge that a little bit further. So like 10,000 steps one time throughout the week, or?
Yeah, so make it a this week goal. So say, well, we're not at the top of the week, but if we take Tuesday to Tuesday,
Okay.
say within from today to next Tuesday, aim to get 10,000 steps in.
At least one time.
At least one time.
Okay, so we would want to write that criteria so we know at least one time between Tuesday and Tuesday, get 10,000 steps in.
Yeah.
Okay, right? We have a time based. It's very specific. Is that attainable? Is it something realistic?
I think so.
Yeah. And especially if you're kind of sedentary or you work at a job where you're not really getting a lot of steps in, and that is something that is also a little bit challenging, then that works, right? If someone came in here and was like, I'm at 9,000 steps today already, right? Setting a goal of 10,000 steps in 1 week is a little bit too easy. And I would say, let's challenge that a little bit. Maybe having 10,000 steps a couple times, like maybe 2 times or 3 times next week, to really try and have something that's gonna propel you to like keep going kind of thing. Yeah. That falls into that realistic category, right? So we wanna make our goals realistic. And I already kind of said this, but making them challenging, so we're kind of like eager to do it. But if we make goals that are too challenging, it kills our motivation. We're often not gonna do this. This is something I work on with our students that are working with injured athletes, that are working with other athletes in general, like when you're helping them set goals, following these same principles. So if a goal is saying, if a team is saying, you know, we wanna be national champions, and that's always a goal I see with athletes is like, we wanna get to the very end. It's like, what are the baby steps to get there, and how is it realistic, right? So we kind of break it down that way. And so for yourself, and if we just stay in the mindset of physical activity, making sure that these aren't like, I'm already working out 3 times a week. Like, how would you make that a little bit more challenging, but not overly challenging where it kills your drive to stay active? Jini, you want to cover the next bullet point?
Like what is important to you? Yeah, so I think I like this point because I think this is also related to like how to be specific, because I think the most important thing when you're setting a goal, what is the most important to you? So it means what you want to achieve the most in your life. And then I think it's really important because it helps you prioritize which goal comes first. Because it's also for me, I have a lot of things I want to achieve. I have a lot of things I want to do. But sometimes, so I suppose that I set a goal, like 7 goals in a day, I want to achieve everything. But I found that I couldn't because it's not what I can do every day. And then when you know what's important to you in your life, and then when you prioritize the things, I think it really helps you make your goal more specific and more realistic. So I think knowing what's important to you is really covers everything in this point. Yeah.
That's a great point too. Sometimes we have like so many goals, we set a lot of goals. And so that goes back to that be realistic. Like if I know like within my day-to-day, like I have maybe like what are my top 3 goals that I really want to achieve this week? I like to go week by week basis because sometimes I'm like, this semester, what do I want to achieve? Break it down to this month, break it down to this week. Because we have a lot of things that we are probably juggling. And again, I'm going back to just physical activity, but we're trying to prioritize that, make time for that, but also have like a realistic goal with like our day-to-day lives and what that looks like. And then next we talk about planning for barriers. So again, I would start your week off if you want to do it on a Sunday, because maybe that's like the beginning of your week. Like, what are your goals for this week in regards to, again, I'm just going to stick with physical activity. Let me write that down somewhere, and then let me just think. Let me take 2 minutes to think about what might be some barriers that might come up. If my goal is to go to a gym, but all of a sudden the day got away from me and now I can't go to the gym at that time, or I just have other things pop up, what's going to be my plan B for those goals that I'm kind of setting, or that goal I set? And I say writing down your goals because it's really important. If we don't have it visibly somewhere, then we forget it. We can think about this Sunday and just like, okay, I'm thinking before like I'm getting into my homework or my day. Yeah, I think this week I want to do 2 high intensity training workouts and go for a walk. And those are my 3 things I want to do this week. If I don't write that down, I'm probably going to forget it by that night, or maybe the next day I'm like, I don't know, I think I wanted to do something outdoors. So I always tell like anybody I'm talking to, like write it down somewhere and even post it where you're gonna see it. If it's your planner because you are this person that always has a planner physically, or if it's online, like write it out and have that there on the desktop. Sometimes it's like even just writing it down on a little post-it and putting it on your bathroom mirror or somewhere in your room that you can see every day, just as a reminder of what you want to achieve, kind of thing. Another strategy could be sharing it with a friend. Like, hey, my goal this week is to do 2 of the classes and do 1 outdoor walk. I'm just letting you know because it's good when you have that person to be accountable. You feel a little bit more like, okay, somebody else knows my goals, so I might be more likely to actually do them. Things like that. At the end of the sheet are just some reminders. Again, I think these are like the main takeaways we really want you to kind of walk away with. So again, the goals should be meaningful to you. Flexibility is important. Don't be so fixed that like I have these goals and if I didn't work out 3 times, I only worked out 2 times, I'm gonna be a failure, right? We don't want to use those words to associate our effort in the goals because that makes us like, again, less motivated to do it. We feel a little bit hit on our self-esteem if we're not able to achieve these. And then we're probably most likely gonna just not set a goal. And again, this goes back to that circle of being not like focused on something. And again, the goal is to be healthy. Again, when we're thinking about increasing physical activity, don't let this stress you out. Again, if I didn't hit my goal, it's not the end of the world. Let me reset on the next week and think about how I can like learn from the past week. And maybe I did set too high of a goal. Maybe I do only need to try this next week because I have a midterm, I have these other assignments. So maybe this next week, I'm only gonna work out twice at some point. And that's fine. There's no like judgment about, oh, you have to work out 3 times a week or you have to do these things. The idea is just minimal steps to try and help us increase some physical activity. Yeah. Any questions about anything?
How would you suggest maybe for like for people who have like really packed schedules, whether it's like with commuting to and from work or like days like today where like classes are like 10 minutes back to back, what are like some alternatives that someone can do, or like what are some ways to fit in those little bits of physical activity or just overall movement? Because I mean, especially in school, you're sitting for so long, and I know personally after a while I'm like, Jesus, like I need to stand up. So like what are some tips or advice of things that you could do in a small amount of time?
Jini, you have any?
Yeah, actually, I will share my experience. So I have 3 jobs, and then I have 3 masters. That's great. And then, but I love to do workout, and then actually, especially, I'm a morning person, and I love to jog in the morning. And then, but I really like to jog in the morning because it really makes me feel energized and motivated after jogging in the morning. But these days, I barely work out because it's been really hectic and busy week. But there's one thing I really try to keep doing it, even though I'm in a very busy schedule, which is meditation. It's not like physical activity, like active activity, but it's a 10-minute meditation. And then when I just wake up, I think even though you're too busy, I believe you have 10 minutes in a day. So maybe you can just not looking at the phone for 10 minutes. Maybe you will already there. If you just start to look at the phone, you just have it 1 hour and 3 minutes past. And then, yeah, I think so 10 minutes meditation when I wake up, it really helped me like start the day with a good mindset. And also when I work, one of my jobs is like doing graphic. And then when I work, I just used to work like sit in the chair, and then I work 5 hours, no break time, and I found that it's really break my health. And then after that, I have a habit like I set an alarm like 15 minutes work, and then I force me to wake up 10 minutes, and then so like physical movement and stretching, and that's 15 minutes again. So that kind of routine, maybe if you can find a routine that fits your daily life, I think it really helps. Yeah.
And sometimes you need those reminders too because you are so busy. Yeah. So maybe it's actively like setting your calendar like a reminder to go off on certain times of the day. So it's like, oh, let me do a walk around the building. Because even just a walk around the building is more steps than maybe you would have had if you didn't take that like little 3-5 minute break kind of thing.
Yeah.
Other times it might be finding time just to, again, maybe it's not a walk, but maybe it's something where you can just stand, maybe do a couple 5 squats, doing something where you're just moving a little bit, just to get that in a little bit built in.
Yeah, I think like in my experience and conversations I had with Romer, and I think Elise had done a presentation on it last semester here, was like, you know, everyone talks about like the Pomodoro timer, you know, 25 minutes, you know, 5 minutes and something like that. And when I started doing that this semester, you kind of never realize how much time you spent focused on one thing. And then you're like, I was never focused in the first place. So once you start to like block out your time, like, oh, I'll do 20 minutes of something and then maybe 5 minutes, like, I'll just stand up and, you know, twist around, do something. And at least I think you had talked about that with your, like, the seated work stuff and like that, you know, an hour of work and then, you know, double the time of rest or something of that sort. So I think that's something that I've learned to work for myself. I know it's not something that works with like everybody, but it's so important to find something that works for you. And it's such a trial and error kind of thing.
Yes,
you know?
Those are such great points. So it's trial and error and finding it out and testing things out and reflecting on it. Like this week, I think that's another good thing to do when you set goals is like, okay, let me just take some time to think about those goals over this, like my evaluation of it. Did it work? Is this something, maybe I need to try out a different strategy and things like that. Something else, again, that worked for me is, again, the prioritizing of it. I am an overworker, I'm a workaholic, and so I'm always in my office, I'm always like extending my hours, and that was impacting when I started being a faculty member here because I would just be sitting down and trying to just work. And so I wasn't making time for myself, physical activity, and then I was feeling like lethargic, and I was just feeling like not productive, not energized. And this past summer, I was really like being very intentional about making time to like work out daily during the week. And for me, I really found that what I enjoyed was trying to do group fitness classes. Because I need that. I need the music, first of all. I need something like to get my energy up because I'm in my office by myself. And so I need that other like interaction. And then just that feeling of like it sucks during it. Like I hate doing burpees. I hate any kind of running. So whenever they're like, go run a lap out there, I'm like, ugh, and I'll say it. I hate this. But I'm doing it because the feeling that I get after it. And then after I feel energized, I feel good. I feel like happy. So I remember those things. So when I'm stressed out and I'm like, oh, should I do like another hour's worth of work? Or should I just close up shop now and just like save it for tomorrow so I can go get my hour of workout, 45 minutes of workout. So sometimes it's having those like negotiations with yourself about, okay, maybe I can't do that every day because I have jobs or I have to be at places, but is there a time where I can like carve out this minute or this 30-minute, 45 minutes to do something that I know is gonna make me feel better and happy at the end? Sometimes I gotta think about that outcome too. Yeah.
So I don't know. It feels like a kind of unique situation. So I have an office job as well, and like you, I get there and I'm clicking away, pretty much. I also do this thing where I set my goals weekly, but somehow, some way, I flip the page, and those same goals from the last page come over to the next page.
The arrow. That's the next page.
So my thing is, it's not that I feel like my goals aren't attainable nor realistic. However, I have a job where I'm frequently interrupted, and a lot of people rely on me. So I call them like the little fires that I have to put out. So what I struggle with is like, I feel like I have like a good plan, and when I hear you guys talk, I'm like, oh, that's in alignment, but why am I still not getting these things done? And I know it's obviously because people keep knocking at my door, ringing my phone, things like that. So would you have any tips on how to maybe isolate maybe some type of like focus time or goal setting time for that despite little fires or like interruptions?
Lock the door. Lock the door, don't answer. We can't do that all the time though, right? Yeah. And sometimes it is like accounting for like, I know my day gets busy, I do try and set these goals, but maybe I have too many goals. Maybe like for the given week, I do have to like switch up the goals I have during my work week versus maybe the days that I have off. I understand some people really don't have any days off though either too. So it is hard trying to, you can control what you can control. Right. And we can't control everything, and there are gonna be fires that are gonna pop up. So it's trying to work with what you have to a degree. So again, maybe it is like, there's a lot of fires that came up this week, so I'm just really gonna focus on goal number 1 and be okay with that kind of thing. Jini, do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to add the point that I like the saying that 20% of life, the thing happen in your life is what you plan, but 80% of the things they have to wrap. It's what you don't expect. So I think the thing is everything, like we can't expect, or we can expect everything. But the thing is when what we did that when we don't expect come to our life, the thing is don't be rushed and not stressful, because we can't expect everything. But I think prioritizing and then knowing what is the most important in your life, and then achieving the goal is the most important. Yeah.
And you can put some of that in your calendar. So I actively put in meetings where I am meeting with someone, but I ask them, can we do a walking meeting? Because I don't want to meet over Zoom. Like, is there any way that we can meet and just chat as we're walking? Or maybe I just have to schedule a fake meeting in my calendar so I can go and get that time. Because if someone sees, oh, you have an open space on your calendar, it gets booked up. So sometimes I have to kind of block out times on my schedule. It's also a reminder for me because everything's on my, like, ding, you have another reminder. I'm like, okay, go take a walk in 10 minutes. So sometimes we have to do that when we know that these like little flyers started popping up more so. Well, okay, I'm gonna have my walking meeting. Maybe that's with the person, and maybe that's with my friend Casper or something.
I like that. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think for myself, it's I schedule it. This might not be realistic for everybody, but for me, the only time that I feel like I can schedule in like my physical activity is like at 5 a.m.
Ooh, you're a morning person.
Yeah. So I'm like, I like to wake up early because it makes me start my day like, all right, I'm getting out of bed, like I'm making my bed. It's like everything is like super set and like set in stone. It's like I start my day, I can go home, make breakfast. Okay, I'm like, I have to go to school. But there's times where it's like Tuesday I have to come to campus. That means like I can't go to the gym, drive from the gym, come to school, make it on time. So it's like I know that Tuesdays are the days I don't work out. So it's like making sure that like on Sundays I know when do you have to come on campus, at what time do you have to be on campus, and like my workouts are 2 hours long, so my life revolves around like my workouts. And if I don't work out, I know that I can't get it in at any other time. So I kind of just like make sure to see like where can I put it where it's gonna work best for me. So I think that's just like how I work around like the little stuff like that.
Yeah. That's really good for like planning it out, knowing about like what's gonna like your morning, like you can do it. Like, yeah, not everybody is gonna wake up early if we say like, well, there's time here. It's finding out what works for you and like your patterns and things like that. And I'm sure like that took some like adjustment, especially as these semesters are changing with what's in person, what's virtual, and like when do I have to be on campus versus when is it like you don't have to show up kind of day. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's a great suggestion. Thank you for sharing that.
You're crazy.
I know.
But I respect
you were trying. Okay, I should have my like. This is a judge-free zone. When people have goals.
I tell her all the time because I mean she'll share with us that she does that, and it's like almost like I admire it because I am not that much of a morning person. I try so hard to be a morning person, and then I see her go do stuff, and I'm like, wow, you're so cool. But you're also kind of crazy for waking up that early. But like you said, I mean, that's the time that she can fit it in and it works for her. Yeah. So, power to you.
Yeah.
So, one of the things I struggled with too, because Sylvia like reminded me. So, I'm also a morning person. I try to go to the gym at 6. But for me, what happens is if I don't get it done then, I beat myself up for the entire, not the entire day, but like I'm like, dang, I missed out. So, yeah, like what would you say to me or to anyone who struggles with that? Like, if I don't meet it now, and I have to sleep by a certain time to meet the next day's goal, like, yeah, just to kind of like not beat myself up for it.
Yeah, definitely. Because, and that's the thing too about it. Like, if we don't hit our goals, that's one of the we like all the negative self-talk. We like beat up on ourselves, and then that doesn't impact like our motivation or our behaviors to like maybe sometimes for some people that like triggers us to like, oh, I'm gonna make sure I get it in the next day, and it like reinforces that. For other people, it's kind of like, oh, I suck. Like I really suck this week, or I don't feel good. I missed out. So obviously, when we're trying to be aware of some of that talk, it's like, let me change that talk. Nope, I'm fine. Like instead of having that like beating myself up kind of language, like it was busy. Today got away from me. Tomorrow, I'm gonna get a good workout in, and I'm gonna feel good about it. So really trying to, and that's like one strategy, is to like, let's just change the language that we're saying to ourselves. Self-compassion is a big thing. especially when we're trying to engage in physical activity. So if you can say something that's gonna counter that, like the negative stuff's gonna come in, it seeps in automatically. So we actively have to be very mindful to think about once we're starting to be aware, because it might be like 10 thoughts that pass through that were judgmental towards yourself. And on that 11th thought, you're like, oh wait, I'm really beating myself up. Let me switch it up. I am human. I have a busy schedule. It's okay that it's okay if I miss today's workout, kind of thing. So try that out and see how that works. For some people, I'll try it out and maybe it didn't work. Then we can talk about other strategies. But try that one out and see how that feels. Things like that.
I think I'm very similar to Ron, except for me, it's like if I don't get it done in the morning, I'm not gonna do it at all. Like I don't want to go, because I feel like I have my morning crew, even though I don't talk to anybody. Like I go at 5 a.m. and I know everybody, but I don't talk to anybody. But it's like later on, it's like there's more people that like I don't know, and it's like I want to see people I don't know. So it's like if I don't get it done in the morning, I don't get it done at all. But I think one thing that I'm learning now is like associating, instead of putting like on my calendar, go to the gym, I put like morning movement or like me time. So it's like instead of forcing myself like I have to do this, it's in my schedule, but it's like those 2 hours are for myself because I know that the rest of my day is for everybody else.
Yeah.
So just like reminding myself that like my movement is like for myself rather than like putting it as like I have to do this because it's like on my schedule for a reason.
Yeah, I love that too. Just changing the language of how we even put that in the calendar of like me time or energizing time. Something that's a little bit more positive, more versus like have to do this or something that makes us feel a little bit less inclined to. So that's great. Like that.
I love that. You're so cool.
We're improving.
We're improving. I love that.
Sometimes too, it's nice to see that we're like striving to meeting our goals. So I know some people get reinforced different methods. So I have some people that like put their goals out on their planner, and like when they hit their goal, they have like stickers. So they put a little sticker saying like I got that, and that just putting that in or crossing that out is like a reinforcement that feels good. So that's another thing that why we say like write it out, see it, give that reinforcement there. If you want to see something visual like that.
Smiley faces are another thing. I put smiley faces instead of checks on my calendar.
That's cute.
I'm getting so many ideas here, like how to revamp things. Well, we are going to be here if you have any questions down the road. Feel free to have, like, I'll share my email if it's not already available. You can share it with everybody. If you want to reach out, have other questions around this, or like, hey, this is my individual kind of technique, or can we meet and chat? Like, that's open. I'm really looking forward to, I heard that our Sport and Exercise Site Club is going to do a collaboration with you all in the future. I'm really excited to see like how that's going to play out, and just doing more things together jointly. I think is going to be really nice. Because again, I want to just kind of give kudos to this group because you all are doing really amazing things, and I feel like of all the clubs here in our kin department, like you are at the top. You are excelling. We're doing good things. And it's really nice to see clubs come together and have like meaningful like meetings, having intentional things, recording it for the members that couldn't be here. So these are all really proactive things that I think like I want to really make sure I give kudos to everybody here that are part of the planning, but also the people that just showed up. Like it's great to be present in these things and to like be here. So
no, for sure. And thank you for coming. I do know that it was a little bit last minute. Sometimes we have to make those little adjustments. So we really thank you for both of you guys for taking the time to come here and talk to us and sharing this information with us. We do have markers there, or if you want to like write down your email anywhere, you are free to do so. We'll also email it to our members tomorrow when we do our little recap and stuff, so they'll have access to that too. But again, thank you guys so much for coming in. We really appreciate it. Thank you.